Well, some worrying news as some schools in KZN have been forced to suspend classes until they can receive food for the pupils again. It seems things went horribly wrong when the provincial education department changed its supply chain. They've now introduced a main provider who we understand is going to distribute that to smaller suppliers. That will then go on to be delivered to the schools. Let's bring in the very latest and information we can get for you as well and bring in Elijah Mhlanga, of course, Basic Education Spokesperson. Elijah, good morning to you. First of all, we're going to talk about where we are at the moment, and I believe we may be finding a solution. But just from your understanding, the provincial department got this wrong. How did they get this so wrong?
Good morning, Gareth. Well, I think the department was trying to come up with a different approach that was going to make the system efficient by centralizing the provision of meals to learners across the province. But in the early stages of that, things have gone wrong. We know this because learners are not receiving their meals in every case, as it should be the case. And we are also receiving complaints from schools, teachers, who are saying that they've had to pay from their own pockets because the deliveries that should take place have not taken place as expected. So that's what is our biggest concern at the moment, because we don't want to see any disruptions taking place insofar as the school feeding program is concerned.
No, absolutely not, because as I'm sure you're willing to admit as well, and you've said this to me before on this channel, that for many of these pupils, this is the only wholesome meal that they actually get a day is at the school itself. So it's very, very serious. I'm seeing reports that various teachers' unions are saying that the problem is that there's now only one supplier of the food. There used to be multiple suppliers. Now it's down to one person. First of all, who owns this company? Who is this individual? Who is this company that's in charge of keeping all these children alive? And why was it brought down to only one supplier?
Well, all those are questions that the province should answer, because, Gareth, the Department of Basic Education only allocates the funding to the provinces. The provinces then embark on a supply chain process where they invite suppliers to bid for this job. We know in the past there were hundreds of companies that would be given the job of providing the meals to the different schools. It would usually be people who are familiar with their own areas and would be able to therefore make sure that every school gets its delivery and that every school is able to provide the meals to its own learners. But in this case, it looks like there are serious challenges. Yes, we are told the situation is improving, but at the end of the day, the disruptions that have taken place are not desirable, and we hope that the province will move with speed to arrest the situation. The province should be in a position to tell us which company was awarded this tender. The minister sent a team to the province to get information and to gather as much as we could, led by the Director General, and we did that. The report was given to the minister yesterday. The Director General will meet with the minister this morning to go through the report and consider the way forward. So the information and the detail is in that written report, which the minister is currently considering. That's where the detail will also come from in terms of who got the tender, how they got it, and why the province decided to change the approach. Because we need to understand what has taken place for us to be in this crisis right now, for us to avoid a repeat.
I would imagine this is fairly unusual. If you were to look at all the various provinces, all 9 provinces and their education department and the school feeding nutrition program, is KZN the only province that was trying to change the way they did this? It seems to work everywhere else around the country. Why do you think KZN was trying to change it? Streamlining can't be a good enough reason. I understand that you don't make the decision, you allocate the budget, but surely as the department that's allocating the budget to the provincial department, you'd want to know it's been done properly, surely.
No, you're absolutely right. The function is not just to allocate budget. We also monitor and support the province when things go wrong. It's not the first time that there were challenges in terms of school nutrition program in KZN. I suppose the province was trying to move away from what didn't work in the past to something else, which has backfired badly. And we now need to understand what took place. Yes, other provinces, they award to multiple companies that are able to provide the meals regularly on time, all the time. This is important because a huge number of these learners depend on these meals. And if they don't get one meal in one day, then their learning is going to be disrupted, which will eventually affect learning outcomes, which means they might not pass because they come to school hoping that they will get their meal there. So other provinces, yes, things seem to be going smoothly because they don't seem to have changed anything. I'm not aware of any other province that has one main supplier because, it's a huge job. We feed 9.6 million children every day. 2 million of them are in KZN, and it happens to be one of the biggest provinces. In fact, it's the biggest province in the country in terms of learner population. So you would expect that things are going smooth there, because if that happens in that province, then chances are that everyone else will want to learn from them. But in this situation we are in right now, we are learning how not to do things because we shouldn't be where we are now. But of course, the minister will give us direction in terms of what needs to be done there. She's talking to the MEC, and the DG is talking to the HOD in the province to try and make sure that we fix the situation as urgently as possible, because we don't want the lives of the children to be compromised any further.
No, absolutely not. I don't think anybody would, quite rightly as well. I'll leave this as my last question to you then, Elijah. So as you and I sit here now, are you able to tell me how many children are missing school today in KZN? And do we know if the meals are going to start coming back as early as tomorrow, for example? Parents, I'm sure, watching at home want to know what to do with their children.
Well, Gareth, the situation, unfortunately, has been improving somewhat. It might be slow. We're not where we should be, but the meals are starting to get to schools. The complaint now that we're getting from teachers who are contacting us directly is that they are getting inadequate supplies. They say, if I've got 1,500 learners and you're giving me 54 bottles of amasi for the children, when in fact I should be getting 120, what do you expect me to do? So schools are now using their SGB money to supplement what they are getting. So that's where we are now. Deliveries are there, not sufficient. So we hope that in the next few days the situation will normalize. But we hope that as well the province is taking this as seriously as it is.
Yeah, absolutely right. And always very good with your communication is Elijah Mhlanga. We'll wait to get the latest from you and or the minister sitting with the information. Basic Education Spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga, thank you very much indeed. So.